Hello students, today we will study Homesickness written by Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl was a British writer of short stories, novels and poems. He wrote about his boyhood years and early career in boy and going solo. These are the book's name. Some of his most popular books are Matilda, Fantastic Mr. Fox and Charlie and Chocolate Factory. Now students, let's start the first para. I was homesick during the whole of my first term at St. Peter's. Homesickness is a bit like seasickness. You don't know how awful. Awful means unpleasant. It is till you get it, and when you do it, hits you right in the top of the stomach and you want to die. The only comfort is that both homesickness and seasickness are instantly curable. The first goes away the moment you walk out of school grounds, and the second is forgotten as soon as the ship enters the port. So students, this is an Roald Dahl's autobiography, Boy, Tales of Childhood, recounts an amusing, means very hilarious episode from author's childhood. Roald Dahl was 9 years old when he was sent to boarding school called St. Peter's, and there he felt homesickness. He says that homesickness is just like seasickness. Why he said homesickness is just like seasickness? Because you continuously feel that you want to vomit because of the constant movement of ship. Like when something moves, there is a giddy feeling inside you and you feel like that you vomit. So that's why he says that homesickness is just like a seasickness, and further says that it is very unpleasant when you feel like to vomit. You feel very unpleasant when you feel like to vomit, and when you finally do it, it hurts you in your stomach as if you want to die. So when you vomit, there is an acute pain in your stomach as if you want to die. But on the contrary, they both, means homesickness and seasickness, are quickly or frequently curable. As the moment you go away from the school, you forget your pain. Means you have any kind of pain in your body or in your stomach as you crosses the school ground. Just like as a ship enters the port and feel very safe, right? It feel very safe. Just like when you also feel sickness, and when you go away from the school, you also feel that you're going to enter the safe zone, your home. Now second para. I was so terribly homesick during my first 2 weeks that I set about making a plan for getting myself sent back home, even if it were for only a few days. My idea was that I should all of a sudden develop an attack of acute appendicitis. Now, Dahl means Roald Dahl was badly homesick. He badly wanted to go back home. Okay, so he was thinking of a desperate plan to go back home, or we can say he was making plans to go back home. His idea was that he should develop a sudden attack of severe appendicitis, or you can say appendix pain. This was his plan, that he should develop sudden appendix pain. Now, third para, you will probably think it's silly that 9-year-old boy imagined that he could get away with a trick like that. But I had sound reason for trying it. Only a month before, my elder sister had actually had appendicitis, and for several days before her operation, I was able to observe her behavior at close quarters. I noticed that the thing she complained about most was severe pain down in the lower side, right side of her tummy. As well as this, she kept being sick and refused to eat and ran a temperature. Now students, you will think that it's such a silly that a small boy, a 9-year-old boy, has imagined such kind of trick to get out of school. But Roald Dahl had a very good reason for for trying such a trick. Only a month before, his elder sister had appendicitis, and for many days before her operation, he had observed her behavior very closely, at close quarters means very closely, and noticed that she complained about severe pain down in the lower right side of her tummy, and because of that pain, she kept sick. Even she did not eat anything and had a high fever. Now, fourth para, you might by the way be interested to know that his sister had her appendix removed, not in a fine hospital operating room full of bright lights and gowned nurses, but on our own nursery table at home by the local doctor and his anesthetic. In those days, it was fairly common practice for a doctor to arrive at your house with a bag full of instrument, then drape a clean sheet over the most convenient table and get on with it. So students, you must be very interested to know that Roald Dahl's sister had removed her appendix, not in a very good hospital, not in a very good hospital's operating room with a full of lights and nurses wearing gown, but at their own house or on their own house table. Okay, so not in a very full-fledged operating room, but at their own house, on their own table, by local doctor and anesthetics. And at that time, it was very normal practice for a doctor to come home with a bag full of instrument and spread all its instrument over the table where he can do their operation. Para, on this occasion, I can remember lurking. Lurking means waiting quietly and secretly in the corridor outside the nurse while the operation was going on. My other sisters were with me and we stood there spellbound. Spellbound means fascinated, listening to the medical murmurs coming from behind the locked doors and picturing the patient with her stomach sliced open. We could even smell the sickly perfume of ether filtering through the crack under the doors. Sickly perfume ether means a strong smell of anesthesia. Okay, so students, Dal remember that he was hiding outside the corridors and try to look secretly what's going on inside the operation room. Okay, and while the operation was going on, his other sisters were with him and they were very fascinated about those the soft murmurs of the medical instruments coming from behind the doors, and they were visualizing or imagining the patient with her stomach wide open, and even they could smell the strong scent of ether, as I told you, a kind of a gas used as anesthesia, which was coming out through the crack under the doors. Thank you, students.